Our tip of the week today is managing polygon count for trees and plants. And if you're not familiar with what polygon count is, polygons are basically the triangulation that happens within your elements that you are working with. So this could be any 3D element. So it could be a tree, could be as you're seeing there with a face, or just with a circular element like this. But these are the triangulations, right? And you see a lot of those within trees that make up the leaves. And of course, you're seeing that here too. The more refined you get, right? Here over here, that's not as detailed of interpretation of a face. And this is a much more detailed level, which means it's going to have a higher polygon count to it, and of course may take more time to do renderings. Whenever you go to download a object, let's go to 3D Warehouse as an example. The one I showed you earlier was simply a bitmap image. What I'm showing you now is actually a true 3D tree. As you can see, this 3D tree is 42,000 polygons. And so these objects can get quite large. 42,000 is pretty good size. I've seen some that are several hundred thousand or more. And so, you need to recognize what those polygon count level is in order to be able to manage that object. And so oftentimes when you download these types of objects, they could be a SketchUp object like you're seeing here, could be OBJ, FBX, 3ds, and many other formats out there. But anything that's not in ArchiCAD format natively is oftentimes going to be a much higher polygon count because it wasn't developed originally with GDO. TurboSquid's another really good example. When you go to search for trees and plants here, it has an amazingly great resource for trees and plants, but you really need to look at these levels. You can even, this is nice with the TurboSquid, I can actually go in and say I want low polygon objects only, and I can even put a maximum polygon count on here as well. That way it limits the size of the polygon objects that it's going to be available in my search. And here's a good example from TurboSquid, where we start getting into really large objects. And this is where you need to really be careful and understand this. These objects are 452,000 just for this tree. At this size, it looks like this one is even higher polygon count. This is almost 974,000 polygons. These two objects, either way, whichever one you download, it would be really tough on ArchiCAD in terms of those polygon counts. So you really need to know and pay attention to those polygon counts before you download those and try to bring them into ArchiCAD. One way you can, if you brought a polygon or brought in an object, maybe you didn't know what polygon count it is before you downloaded it. One way to learn the polygon counts of your objects is through the Polygon Count tool. Now, Polygon Count tool is or counting tool, I should say, is a add-on or goodie add-on to ArchiCAD, this part of the goodies suite. So if you go to Home, Downloads, and Goodies for ArchiCAD 25, and you can select your country you're in, you can then download that as a Windows or a Mac download. And then it will contain all these various add-ons, including the polygon counting tool. Once you've done that, it's going to be in the Windows palettes, the menu window palettes, and then just go down and select polygon count, and it's going to open up the polygon count tool. And you can set this to different detail levels in terms of what it's showing you. And then if you go to the 3D model polygon count here, you're going to see that it'll show you the various objects we have, polygons of those objects, and the percent of those polygons for the entire model. And you can see that these are actually ArchiCAD trees, but these three ArchiCAD trees, which are model 3D model trees, together are 109,000. So individually they're around 33,000, 35,000, right? in terms of each individual one. So you have to watch that. Even the ones that are in ArchiCAD that are 3D trees can start to add up. And that's where the 3D image-based trees can be really much more efficient in terms of being able to be managed within the model. Now, there is a add-on to ArchiCAD 2 called Modelport. You can go to it on our website, archivista.com/modelport. And this is a great way of also managing high polygon count objects. So if you brought one in that is a high polygon count, you want to be able to manage that. This is actually an example of a chair, but same concept. And you can see where, on the right is 106,000 polygons for this simple chair, right? And that's pretty high polygon count for just a chair. And then we can reduce that polygon count, as you can see on the right-hand side, where we can actually take that, which you can see right now that the one on the left-hand side is 106,000. We can see where that graph shows that, right? And so if we were to actually take this and reduce the steps here, what's called decimation steps with Polygon. So you select the object, and then you go to Poly Reduced, and within Modelport, we can then go and we can change those steps. So you can see where it reduced it to 38%. So reduce it by almost 60%. And here it's reduced by 61%, so 40. So you can change these polygon decimation steps, and it can really help to reduce your object. And then you can freeze that and then save that object within your ArchiCAD model. And so this is a great way if you've brought an object, particularly with trees and plants, where these decimation steps aren't going to affect the look and feel of it as much as it might on something like a chair or some other element that actually is much more angular. But on trees and plants, it's not going to affect the look of it that much. Even on this chair, it didn't really affect it that much either. But it can really save and help your models when you have high polygon counts. So that is our tip of the week.